Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am very excited for today's video because I'm doing a tag. This is the makeup collection tag. My friend Hope Nest Tom did it recently and I'll link their video up above. And I knew I had to do it as soon as I started watching theirs, and I think I've seen a few other pop up that I need to go watch as well. I really like tags. I think it's a nice way to get a lot of people's opinions on different things, get different perspectives on things because it's the same questions over and over again. And I find them really interesting and fun. I actually have a few other tag videos on my to film list coming up. And if there's any others that you'd like to see or think are interesting, please let me know in the comments because I do think these are really fun. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Colin. I'm a non-binary Latinx scientist and lover of makeup with a definite soft spot for indie makeup and high-end makeup, which is a lot of what's on my face today. And I tend to take a pretty analytical approach to my content, my reviews, my collection. I tend to use things over and over again to really form ideas. So I'd love to have you subscribed if you're not, and let's get into this. And if you're interested in the makeup I'm wearing today, this video will already be up. I just filmed with the new Nomad palette. This is Nomad Cosmetics, Ghost Town USA. Really pretty fall release. Cool tone, kind of colorful, kind of neutral. Really love this. I did 3 looks with this. This was sent to me in PR. And this video, I don't know when this tag video is going up, but this video will be going up like the day after I filmed it. But I'm currently wearing these more greeny tone mattes and then this shade Smoky Quartz, which most of these shimmers are pretty high impact, really shiny, but this one's like a muted kind of almost satin, but with lots and lots of multicolored sparkle, and I am obsessed with it. I will definitely be wearing this shade a lot. The rest of my face, I have my Givenchy concealer, my Surratt Dewdrop foundation, which was sent to me, the Kosas bronzer. I have the medium shade. It's my first time using it, really liking it so far. They did send this to me when they sent me the new brow pencil, which I have on. And then I have my Surratt brow pomade, and then I have the new RMS blush in Bohemian Girl on. Really liking this so far. I got this and Maiden's blush because I've been wanting to try them forever, and this was brand new, so I did pay for this. And then on my lips, I have Merit 1990. Really love this cool tone everyday lip. And to go with the ghost theme palette, I wore my skull earrings and snake ring. Okay, so now let's get into the questions. So there are 14 questions. I'm just making this a little bit bigger so I can see. I have my computer right here so I can look at them because I film with my phone. So question number 1 is, how long have you been collecting makeup? So I have been using makeup since 2019. I have videos on my channel, actually some of my earliest videos from a year and a half ago when I started. 2 years ago now, maybe? No, I don't think my channel's 2 years old yet. I have videos about my makeup journey and all of that. That was my first video, was a tag video. So I have been interested in makeup for most of my life. I remember being a kid and watching my mom wear the little bit of makeup she wore. And I loved going through the department store like Nordstrom. Nordstrom is based in Seattle. So going to Nordstrom or Macy's, which was the Bon Marché at the time, and walking by the makeup counters and seeing everything. It was fascinating. I still love makeup counters. But I was always too scared to use it or be into it. I wore it off and on in high school too. But I started being I want to learn how to do makeup in 2019. And then 2020 is when I really started collecting makeup. So at the end of 2019, I had one eyeshadow palette or 2. I had a couple things. I had a concealer, I had very minimal things. And then at the start of 2020, my friend that worked at Urban Decay helped me get, a few more products, helped me figure out how to do my base makeup some, although I've definitely changed and evolved since then. As I, learned to do my face. But 2020, when everything locked down, was when I really started to collect. So I started with drugstore makeup, a lot of ColourPop, some Makeup Forever, that kind of stuff. Stuff I don't buy anymore because I just don't think the quality is very good. Sorry, I got a text message from my husband asking a question. I just don't think the quality is worth it. But I think drugstore is a really great place to start, and that's where I started. I got a little too much in the hype of like ColourPop's constant releases, and then I was like, after a couple months of that, I was like, this is a lot. I need to step back. I'm saying a lot, but I was very thankful for ColourPop at the time and drugstore makeup for helping me figure out, you know, cheap brushes, cheap makeup, cheap eye primer, figuring out how to use products, what I like, what colors I like, what eye shapes I like. Do I like halo eyes? No, I don't. At least not on my eye shape. What do I want? What do I like? What blushes look on me? Figuring out that I have an olive undertone, which shouldn't have been hard for me to figure out looking back, but it was. I thought I was more like neutral, especially when I first got shade matched, I was shade matched neutral, and then it always looked a little off or made me look a little too sickly. And then slowly figuring out like that stuff. That I'm going off on a tangent here, and I'm only on the first question. That's when I really started buying a lot and collecting makeup. I was buying a lot of ColourPop eyeshadow palettes. My husband was like, do you need this one? Why are you buying this one? I was like, it's pretty, it's a different, he would be like, he's learned now. But he was like, do you really need this? Why are you buying that one when you bought something like 2 weeks ago? And it was like, well, the thing about 2 weeks ago was mauve tones, and this is greens, and I don't have any greens like this. I'm trying to, you know, fill out what colors I have so I can figure out what I want. And then it was later in 2020 that I started buying things like lethal cosmetics and single eyeshadows, and started exploring the indie makeup scene, and then slowly, you know, indie into high end, and now I'm back and forth between the two. But that's when I really started buying a lot and collecting the stuff a lot, was during the lockdowns, because I was home. I was doing my PhD. School was shut down, so I was teaching remotely, so I could, and you know, I couldn't really do my research, so I was teaching remotely and attending lots of meetings and doing stuff, but I still had more free time during the day, so I could, and I was home, no one was seeing me. The only time I went outside was to go to the store or walk the dog, so I could play around and explore and experiment, and I think that was really good for me. Not necessarily good for my wallet, but that's when I really started collecting and like building a collection, was during those lockdowns and having that freedom of being home alone. And I know other people who had similar experiences where that's when things really blew up, because we were home alone, we had time to explore ourselves. I know people who came out during that time. I think that, you know, there was a lot of trauma associated with those lockdowns, but I think there was also some good that came out of them. Okay. That was a long-winded answer. So on to question 2 is, what kind of collection do you have? And then in parentheses, minimal, utilitarian, aesthetic, historical, etc. I think I don't pass any judgment on anybody else's collection unless they're putting themselves in a lot of debt and they can't pay their bills because of it. Then there's a little bit like, you need to slow down. But in general, I don't do what you want. If it makes you happy and doesn't hurt someone or hurt you, do what you want. I know like Khaki Reviews Beauty, is friends with Hope Miss Tom. I really like her videos. She has kind of a historical collection. She has a lot of stuff. So she has stuff that she buys for herself, and then stuff that she buys just to review and compare against her vast collection. I personally don't have that kind of collection. That sounds overwhelming. Unless I was getting paid for that and getting stuff for free, that sounds too much. Like, unless it was my full-time job like it is for her, that sounds too much. But so I don't have a huge collection. I have a big collection. My sister-in-law saw it for the first time yesterday and was like, whoa. But she also doesn't wear makeup every day. I don't know what I would call it. I have kind of a mixture. So like, I'm not minimal. I'm not a minimalist. I think I have a lot of thoughts on minimalism. In general, minimalism is tied to status and privilege and a lot of other things. I'm not fully maximalist. You can see I have a lot of books. I have another one of those shelves down the hall. And I have books next to me. There are things that I do like to collect and have a lot of. And my collection is kind of a mix. So I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes. At the end of last year, I had around 100, and I've decluttered a few, and I have some set aside to declutter, but I've definitely collected this year. So I'm probably around 120 or 130 eyeshadow palettes, which is a lot and too much for me. I like to keep it, I want to get below 100. But then other parts of my collection are more minimalist. So until recently, as I started getting more PR from people, I had like a concealer and a mascara, and a lot of my face products tend to be more utilitarian and minimalist. I have 2 tinted moisturizers, and now I have a few more foundations, and I need to pare that down, but I still only have like 4 foundations. And then I have 2 cream bronzers, I think. Yeah, I have 2 cream bronzers. I have 2 or 3, now I've gotten that one. I have like 4 powdered bronzers now because I just got some in PR. So like I have more blush than any of those, and I have a decent number of highlights, a lot of the Kaleidos ones, but like my face products generally fit in one little container under that I keep them all in. My blush palettes, my single blushes, my bronzers, all of that. So that's a little more utilitarian. I have a powder, I have a loose powder and a pressed powder. Like I keep things pretty minimal there. But then things like sparkly eyeshadows, I have less self-control over because they're like a capsule, a color story, So it's a mix. It's a mix of a lot of makeup, but compared to some other YouTubers, not a lot of makeup, and fairly minimal, like normal everyday makeup. The next question is, are you a completionist? And that is kind of true. There are some things that I do want all of, and I used to be a little bit more of one, but that's kind of, the longer I've been doing this and the longer I've been buying makeup and using makeup, the less of a completionist I feel I am. So I have a lot of Pat McGrath. I have all but 3 of the motherships, and I definitely want at least 1 more of them. And then the Divine Rose 1 and 2, I'm still on. Like I wouldn't pay full price for them, but if they came into my collection or if I got them for very cheap, I would keep them probably and play with them and see what I think about them. And it would be nice to be like, I have all of them. So there's a little bit of a completionist in me. But I've never been much, I'm not like, I need everything from this brand, or I need everything from this. Like, I try to pick and choose what is appropriate for me. Like, there's a reason I have most of the motherships, but not all of them, and it's because, 1, they're expensive, but 2, like, Divine Rose 1 is her most basic, neutral, cool tone mauve palette, and there are some pretty shades in there that I want, like a couple of the shimmers, but I know it's not for me. Maybe in the future it will be, but right now it's not, so I don't feel the need to get it just so that I can say I have them all. So I don't really consider myself a completionist. Like, I have all but 1 of the MIDI palettes, and I want Retro Glam because there are some shades in it that I want, but there are also shades in there that I know won't work on my skin tone, so I don't feel the need to rush out and get it. Like, I teeter on the edge of being a completionist for some things, like having all the midis or all of this thing or all of the Kaleidos highlighters. But I've never fully actually completed any of those because I know I have a limited budget. I've always worked within a set budget every month. And I know I can't. Some things just aren't for me. I still kind of I used to want every one of Lethal Cosmetics single shadows. I still would like to have most of them, if not all of them, because I have a lot of them. But I haven't bought their last 3 palettes because they've come out when I've already used my budget and I just didn't have it in it. And then it was like, okay, I want it, but it's when it's been in budget, it's been out of stock or something, you know? I teeter right on that edge of wanting to be a completionist, wanting to have everything, but also knowing that that's unrealistic and that certain things just aren't for me. They're not for my skin tone, they're not for my makeup taste, they're not for my preferences. So I don't need to spend my money on it. So another long-winded answer to say, no, I'm not a completionist, but sometimes I like almost get there for very specific things. Okay, question 4 is how do you store or organize your collection? So this should be pretty easy. I wish I had a vanity. So I'm filming at my dining room table. I live in basically a glorified studio apartment. My husband's work desk is right over there. Our bedroom's right there. Bathroom and hallway are right there. I don't have room for a dedicated vanity and filming space, and I would like that. I wish we had a second bedroom so we could have like an office space. So like his work stuff in one spot and my filming stuff in one spot or something, you know? So right now I have some stuff in the bathroom, the stuff I grab all the time. Like I have a little shelf in the bathroom with my House Labs foundation, my Givenchy concealer, my eyeliners, that kind of stuff. And then I have a plastic storage thing, like from the Container Store that slides out, and I have 2 little ones on top of it that have like gelled eyeliners and some like my old ColourPop Super Shocks that still are okay. And then below that, it has 2 big drawers, and one of them has his powder, because my husband does wear like tinted moisturizer and stuff and a concealer. So he, you know, his powder, because he's a ginger and he's pale, my powders, like all of my complexion products are in those 2 little drawers. And then I have in our bedroom, we have a big storage cabinet. Board games are in there. Bean, our dog, her medication and her extra stuff is in there. And then the top 2 shelves of it are my eyeshadow palettes. So I have plastic containers dividing things up, and I have all of my eyeshadow palettes organized generally by brand, and I try to keep them sorted by like type of makeup and brand, but also by size. Some of it's by size because these are all similar. So like I have a bin just for like Natasha Denona, and I have them all, and I have them in chronological order of release date. Same with my Nomad palettes, same with my Trixie Cosmetics palettes. I keep them in chronological order, just like I do for my books. I have OCD, if you didn't, if you couldn't tell, I have actual OCD, as well as being autistic. And I also have some plastic bins in there, like with all of my Trixie lip glosses, all of my lipsticks, including like this and my Lisa Eldridge gloss. I have a couple with like my Kaleidos blushes or highlighters, and like all of my single shadows, like my potted shadows, like the Surratt ones or the Tom Ford. Those are all in there on like a little mini shelf. But it's all in there, cataloged and organized. And then there's those 2 little bins. Okay, so question number 5. What is your favorite thing about your collection? My favorite thing about my collection, that's hard to say. Like, when I don't think of it as my collection very often, I think it's pretty diverse in like colors and textures, and there's lots of beautiful sparkly things. I just like that if I want to do a simple neutral brown smoky eye, I can, or if I want to do something sparkly and multi-chromy, I can. I'm slowly in the process of curating my eyeshadow palette collection down, curating things, but I like how organized it is, and I I like that I've found over the last 3 years really what I like and fine-tuned that. And it just makes me happy to have these pretty things. You know, people collect all kinds of stuff. We collect books that we read them too. People collect shoes. I know I have friends who have hundreds and hundreds of pairs of sneakers that they don't even wear. They're in like glass containers. And they don't even touch it. I like that I used mine. I think my favorite thing about my collection is that I actually use it. I try to rotate through things. There are things that I don't use very often, but I actually try to use it all, and I enjoy using it, and that's why I have it. Okay, it is 82 degrees, 83 degrees, and I'm not running my AC because it's next to me. So I am gonna fan myself with my Jumbo fan. Okay, so it is hot. And it's smoky outside. The air quality's bad, so I can't even open the windows. Number 6, what is your least favorite thing or something you want to improve in your collection? So I kind of already answered that. My least favorite thing is just, I feel a little overwhelmed with how many eyeshadow palettes I have. There's definitely ones that I enjoy that I don't use very often. And so I really want to kind of sort it by absolutely adore, like holy grail, like favorite things. I don't really like the term holy grail, but like favorite things I really, really like, things I like, you know, like I want to kind of sort it by that and kind of figure out what are things that I don't like that I can get rid of. There's been a bunch of ColourPop and drugstore makeup that I've just kind of held on to because the packaging is cute, like the Hocus Pocus palette or something. Like, it means something to me, but I never use it. And do I really want to take up that space? If I'm going to, maybe I just need to put them in a separate spot so they're not in my working collection. They're just like in a nostalgia. These mean something. I don't know, but I want to curate things down a little bit, and some of the stuff that I like, but I just don't love, and I don't use very often. Like if I haven't used it in over a year, even once, like maybe I should try to find a friend that would use it more or do something. I don't know, but like I want to spend some time this fall and winter, like curating things down a little bit, because especially as I'm getting more PR and reviewing more things, I'm getting more in, and so I don't want to ever feel overwhelmed. Like there's times where I get like 3 things at once and I'm like, I need to review all of these, and I want to keep using the products I love, and it's just like too much. So, especially with a full-time job outside of this, so it's just like I want to curate down a little. Number 7 is, what is the biggest part of your collection? And again, it's eyeshadow and eyeshadow palettes. I don't have the biggest singles collection. I have a big empty palette of Terra Moon singles, which they're on the back burner for me after their recent collab situation and their response to that. And then I have some Divina singles. I have some others. I have Calaminatrix. But I don't grab my singles as much as I should, so that is something I want to work on. Something about grabbing a set color story and just using it, that makes me really happy. But eyeshadow is definitely the biggest. Like I said, I have probably around 100 and 120 palettes at this point because I've gotten stuff in this year and I've gotten more PR, so that's definitely the biggest thing. And number 8 is, what is the smallest category in your collection? And that would definitely be, I don't know, like mascara, primer, setting powder. A lot of those like complexion products or like staple things are really small. I have a couple mini mascaras that I got as like a set that I haven't used, my travel size. I have a couple, but like open mascaras, I have the Tower 28, the Isomea, and then my Surratt ones, the Surratt lash tint one I'm wearing, and the Surratt mascara, because those were both just sent to me and I'm testing them out. But ideally, I try to keep it at like 1 or 2 that I just use all the time. Primers, I have 2 or 3. Setting powders, I have 2. So like a lot of those, like, you know, you use every day kind of base products, every time you do your makeup. I keep those pretty low and I just go through them and then replace them. Sometimes the same thing, sometimes something different. Those are the smallest parts. Okay, so question 9 is, do you have a holy grail in your collection? I don't really love that term because the holy grail is, if you think about it, the holy grail is a perfect item that you have to seek out, that it is out there lost and you have to find it. But I do sometimes say something is holy grail status because it's something that's just so good and so perfect, but I don't say it very often. I do have a handful of products that are like my perfect something, but not a lot. I don't, like, I have things that speak really strongly to me, like certain eyeshadow palettes, like Pat McGrath Midnight Sun, just really speaks to me. Natasha Denona Yucca, like, it's really very, like, it's just perfect. But like, there's always something that you could change a little bit. I don't think anything is perfect. Perfection is an ideal that we should never seek out. But yeah, I don't know if I have a specific holy grail. I have things I really love. I really love the Givenchy concealer. I really love the Kosas concealer. I really love the House Labs. The House Labs setting powder is probably my favorite loose setting powder, and the Kosas is probably my favorite pressed. But do I call them holy grails? I don't know. I'm not really actively seeking out other pressed powders, so maybe I have found my holy grail because I'm not actively searching for other things, but I don't know. Okay, question 10 is, do you ever wish your collection was bigger, smaller, or is it complete? I don't like that idea because I don't think there's ever going to be a complete collection unless you are a minimalist and you have your foundation, your concealer, your one blush, or one lipstick, and you just wear the same thing every day. I don't think we should ever strive to complete our collection because a lot of that will fall into constantly searching. I'm just doing things with my hands down. Constantly searching for the next best thing to complete it. I do wish it was a little more curated. I like opening up that cabinet that I mentioned and seeing all my eyeshadow palettes and being like, ooh, what do I want to use today? Ooh, I want to use this. I'm really in the mood for this. Or thinking ahead the night before, like, I really want to wear some like muted greens. I'm going to grab this palette tomorrow. I like having that like little mini library of things I can grab. I mean, I like libraries, hence my little book library. But even my book library, there's things in there that I probably should get rid of that we're never going to read again. We're never going to loan out to someone. We could probably do without and save the space and maybe fill it with something that we love more. And so there's that. Like, I would like it to be a little smaller, but I'm not mad at my collection as it is. Okay, question 10 is, how often do you declutter your collection? So I do a mix. For the last 2 years, I think my channel is about to turn 2 years old now. Or just did. I think it was August. My eye is starting to water. My contact feels dry. I do a year-end declutter, like for eyeshadow palettes. So here is my entire eyeshadow palette collection. Seeing it all together as one big thing, here's things that I'm gonna get rid of. And I do like doing that. I think I might start doing declutters mid-year as well, so 2 a year. Part of that is because those videos do really well. Declutter videos just perform well in the algorithm, but it would also help me cull things a little faster. But I also declutter things all the time. Like, if something doesn't work for me, I'm gonna get rid of it. I recently got some PR from, what is the name of that brand? Well People. And I really liked the mascara. I really liked a couple of the products, but a couple of them were really bad and I really did not like, and I got rid of them. And like, especially for like the tinted moisturizer they sent me, the tinted SPF, it was a weird shade. It was thick. I hated the way it felt on my face, and I don't have any friends that are a shade match for me, so I have no one I could give it to. Also, I don't want to put that on someone. So I threw it away. Other stuff I try to give away if I know, oh, this is not for me. Someone else might like it. Like there's times where I've gotten PR or I want to give away from House Labs once, and a couple of the products they sent were like, this is not something I'm gonna wear, but my best friend would wear it because she's lighter than me. So she's definitely in the light medium range, so let me give it to her. And she likes it. So I try to be good about doing that and getting rid of things. So if something's gross or something's empty, I throw it away. I empty skincare regularly because I keep that pretty concise. And I go through a retinol, I buy the same one, or maybe I'll try a new one, but like I only have one open at a time. So I'm always having empties, and I don't do like empties videos because of that. I also don't want to store, I don't take up space to hold trash. That stresses me out. Other people can do it, don't care, but that stresses me out, personally. I don't like clutter. I like things, but I like them to have meaning. So yeah, I try to declutter pretty regularly, little things. Eyeshadow primer, used it up, throw it away. Or get something in PR or something that I buy and I just don't really like. I try to give it away, do something with it. But I try to like, if it's not working for me or not meant for me, I get rid of it pretty quickly. Except for eyeshadow palettes. Those are hard to get rid of for some reason. Question 12 is, do you ever get envious seeing other people's makeup collections? Not really. I don't look at those people who have like Michaela, whatever her name is on TikTok. Like she has that giant room full of makeup. I don't. Manny MUA, I think he still does, but he used to have a giant makeup room. I'm not envious of those. When I first started watching makeup YouTube and stuff in 2019, 2020, really started in 2020, because it started as like learning, how do I do this thing? How do you do something? Like that kind of tutorial based stuff. And then I started exploring other stuff. I saw these giant makeup rooms and I was like, wow, that's so cool that you have like a library of makeup. And it's your job to like compare things and review things. And I still think that's really cool. But I'm not like striving to have a makeup room or something. The thing that gets me, I'm not envious of people's makeup collections, but maybe of certain items they have. So like my friend Steven, they have all the Pat McGrath motherships, and I still really want Sublime. So I'm envious that they have Sublime and I don't. There's people who have maybe a limited edition palette that I never got because it came out before I really knew about it. And I'm envious that I never got to try that. Things like that. There's more Lisa Eldridge lipsticks that I really want. So when I see someone who has all of them, I'm a little envious that they have ones that I want and that I just haven't been able to buy myself yet. But that's it. It's not really their collection as a whole. It's like, ooh, I really want that item and they have it. Oh, I wish I had that. And it's that little reminder of, oh, I wish I had that too. Not really envious of their collection as a whole. So no, I don't really think I do. When I think about makeup and like, even for new releases, I don't buy things just to buy things. I don't buy things because they're popular. I don't buy things because everyone else is. I know people get hyped up and get stuck in FOMO and they're like, everyone else is doing this thing, so I should try it too. And it's probably because I'm autistic, but I've never felt that. It's like, good for you. I have no interest in that, but good for you. I actually have lost a friend over saying that. They asked if I was gonna do something because everyone else does, and I was like, no, I don't feel, like, that's cool that other people are enjoying it. I don't really feel any desire to do it. And they're like, do you think you're better than them? And I was like, no, I just don't feel the desire to. Like, that's different. But I think that has helped me avoid some of the pitfalls some of my friends have had where they've bought things that they don't really like or don't really want, and then they buy it and they're like, oh, why do I have this? This is not for me. And I think that's also helped me kind of avoid being envious of other people's collections and other people's maybe certain things that they have that I want, but not their whole collection, like their whole. I'm never really envious of anybody's entire, like even watching videos of like, let's look at my house. Like there's things where it's like, I would love this house, but I don't want it exactly like that. I would change this. I want different things. I want it for me. So I'm never, it's aspects. Okay, so question number 13 is, who on YouTube has the best makeup collection video? I don't know. I don't really understand the question. Who do I think has the best makeup collection, or the best makeup collection video? So of these tags, I haven't watched them all to know. So I really don't know. I think there's no way to have a best makeup collection either. I think what your best makeup collection is what is best for you, and best for you at that time period, that point of your life, that time of your life, that time of whatever. So I don't think there's a way to have the best makeup collection or the best makeup collection video or the best anything. I think it's too personal for that, and there's too many conditions and too many variables. There's no such thing as best, because what is best for me is going to be best for someone different than someone else's best. And I don't think we should be comparing each other. So question number 14 is, what is some advice you'd give a future makeup collector? Don't go into it necessarily thinking, I want to be a collector, because I think it's too easy to get stuck in the collector mindset and then thinking you have to have it all. And it's such a vast world and there's just too much. It's not physically, it's not financially, it's not like economically possible to have everything and to collect everything and to try everything. There's just too much. There's too much in existence. There's too much coming out at any time. So I think my biggest advice for a future makeup collector is, one, start with cheap stuff. Learn what you like with cheap products. Try drugstore products to figure out, do you like full coverage foundation, light coverage foundation, skin tints? What do you like? Don't buy it all at once, but like if you're like, you know what, I think I might like this one the most, so try that first and then kind of move on. If you're like, no, I wish this had more coverage, then go with more coverage. If you start with a medium and you're like, I wish this had less coverage, this looks too much on the skin, try a skin tint, tinted moisturizer or something. But start with the cheaper products, because you don't want to spend all of your money on things that you don't like and don't service you and don't bring value into your life. And then once you kind of figure out what you like, then go into it responsibly. I just think there's so many people, I don't want anybody to ever go into debt for makeup. I know lots of people, including my friends, who have gone into debt for makeup, and then they have to go on no-buys and strict budgets, and they stress themselves out, and they feel guilt, and they like shame, and there's a shame spiral associated with that, and it's unhealthy and not good for you. And I think you can be a collector of anything: makeup, books, vinyl. I have lots of little collections. You should never go into debt for your collections. Like, I love books and I buy books pretty regularly, but if I can't, like, there have been times in my life where I could barely afford rent and food, and I mean, there's been times in my life where I was homeless, but there's been times where I could barely afford to exist. I wasn't gonna go and buy $100 book that I really wanted. I don't know why I said $100 book, but like I do have some expensive books. I would go to the library and get books to read until I could afford to buy one that I wanted, or I would save up and buy something that I wanted, but I would save up and plan for it because it just didn't make sense to, like, I put things on credit cards. I buy everything with a credit card, but then we pay it off. or mostly paid off, depending on financial situations at the time. But I don't think you should like build tens of thousands of dollars in credit card debt collecting things and then not be able to afford the credit card payments and like stress yourself out and make your life worse. I think collections should bring something to your life. They should bring value to your life. They should make you happy. Humans like to collect things. We collect plants, we collect books, we collect music, we collect, I don't know, all kinds of stuff, art supplies. Those things should bring us happiness and value and make our life better, not worse. So my biggest advice is to go into things just wisely and, you know, do things that make you happy and bring value to your life. And, you know, even if it's something stupid like you're broke, but this is cheap and it'll make you happy, you know, we all need our vices, do it. But like, don't do things that are gonna make your life worse or devalue your life or make everything make you more stressed. Especially if it's one of those things where you get the dopamine high and then it's gone and you don't actually use the product and the buying of it does. Like, they should bring you happiness because you have them and they're there, and they shouldn't make your life worse. So that's my opinion, and my advice is do what you want, but do it in a healthy way. Okay, that was the last question. I'm very hot. I need to turn on the air conditioner, and then I need to go edit videos and cook dinner and stuff. So I'm gonna head out, but I'd love, if you are a fellow content creator and you haven't done this collection, I'd love to see other people do it. So tagging everyone who has a YouTube channel or content creation of some form. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you don't have a YouTube channel and you don't create content, I'd love to hear your thoughts and your answers to some of these in the comments below. One of my favorite things about having YouTube and long form content is I can have a discussion. So I can put this out there and then I can get responses and I can respond to you and we can talk in the comments, and it makes me really happy and it feels like a real community. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're not subscribed, please like and subscribe this video. It really helps. So with that, thank you so much for watching as always, and I will see you in my next video.